So since my last video, honestly, I've been having a tough time. My creative capacity has really felt shot because I haven't been feeling well mentally or emotionally. But doing creative projects is one of the things that makes me feel a lot better. And so I feel like a way to merge my creative expression and helping me facilitate a pathway out of this depression spiral is to video document some of my experience pulling myself out of this depression spiral. It's been like a rather unstable time period for me. I was recently traveling in Nebraska. I was there for like 4 weeks. I ended up being there. It just was more complicated than I thought, and I ended up having to change my living situation a whole bunch. And so my daily routine, specifically my morning routine, kind of was less stable there. And I got back here, and within a few days I fell and hurt my ankle, and so then I've been like couch bound for over a week now, or about a week, and just kind of like increasingly blah and blah and blah. My depression symptoms have really increased over the last couple days, and today was not a good feeling day. I'm seeing the whole of how we can just like fall deeper and deeper and deeper into depression. Like I'm seeing that hole, because the worse I feel, the less I have energy to do the things that give me energy and give me life and purpose. And so then I don't do those things because I don't have the energy to do those things, and then I don't feel better because I'm not doing those things. And so it's just like this cyclical cycle that I see can be a pattern for myself. So I'm seeing that pattern come up, and it is not a pattern I want to keep repeating. Part of that pattern is like silence about it and really kind of just going into my shell and doing the introvert hermit thing. I'm just wanting to make different choices. So today was a rough day. I have a call in a little bit that I think will make me just feel a little bit better. But over the next few days, I want to make some different conscious choices and talk about that and share what that experience is like, getting myself out of feeling in a place like this. Because what I know is I can't change how I feel, but I can change the container of which I am surrounding myself. This is like a moment from a film that I showed with the class that I used to teach. It's the film Poverty Inc. There's a line in that in which one of the people talks about poor people being like bonsai people, meaning that we're supported or restrained by our external environment. And so the ways that people in poverty are treated are often restrictive to their growth when they're paternalized and infantilized and all those things. I like that quote because I think it just expands beyond that meaning in a whole lot of capacities, because it applies to healing too. Changing my container, changing my environment. I think that's a huge reason why I've been feeling so bad these past few days, is I've just literally been laying on a couch inside, and that's so contrary to my usual environment. It has not allowed me to feel expansive. I'm going to change my environment, and we will see how that influences the way I feel and the thoughts I am having. A beautiful foggy fall morning here in northern central California. I'm still feeling a bit blah this morning. Not still, I guess. I've been feeling blah. I am feeling ready to make some of those different decisions, set myself up for better days. I think it's important to be really gentle with that. Like, it's easy for me to get into those shoulds of like, well, I should be doing this and I should be doing that and I should not be doing this other thing. And I think that can sometimes make things worse and not better. So I try not to like force myself because I haven't found that to be helpful. With the low energy days, like I haven't really wanted to do much else other than like lay on the couch and whatever, zone out, be too much on social media or watch a crappy TV shows or whatever. Just like mindless sort of activities. And I gave myself a couple of days of that. Like I let myself just sort of give in to what that feeling and emotion was wanting. But what I know and what I've found and what I keep finding is that there's a difference between like doing that to let myself rest, because sometimes I think I need zone out time periods, but it's when that becomes like a habit or a pattern, that's a route that doesn't feel good to go down. Like that's a route I know makes me feel worse and not better. And I was like watching that over those like couple days where I gave into that feeling. I watched myself like wake up feeling kind of blah and then not wanting to do anything and then not doing anything and then just like feeling worse and worse and worse as the day went on. And so I don't know, I tried like not to be in judgment of that because I don't think that's a helpful approach to bring. It's like the carrot or the stick scenario. Like I don't think the stick is an effective way to get ourselves to do things through like punishment or negative self-talk. But how can I do a little bit of the carrot, I guess, of getting myself to want to make different choices, not forcing myself to, but like, how do I get myself to want to make different choices? And I think one of those ways is like being in that observer mode and seeing, okay, here I am doing the thing that whatever, like my depression energy is feeling like I want to do, and like that's actually not helping. It's actually not feeling good at all. But I do think it's important to just like, yeah, be gentle with that and not set ourselves up with such a high goal that we can't possibly make it, you know? Like, I'm not waking up today being like, I'm gonna feel totally better and I'm gonna do all these things and like la di da, that's gonna be great. But I'm like, okay, what are some things that I can do differently today to set myself up for a better day? It also helps I'm having my weekly therapy session in a couple hours, so there's some built-in mental health accountability there too. All right, so the choice I'm gonna make now is instead of watching crappy TV, which is like a time suck and an attention suck for me, I'm going to watch some people who I follow on YouTube who help keep me feeling grounded in things that are important to me and ways that I want to feel.
Hello there. I am feeling so fired up about today's topic because we are going to be talking about Mars retrograde today.
Today has been a bit tougher. was feeling like a surge of anxiety last night that might have been the start of feeling weird and off today. So I did meditate. That was a bit of a struggle. And then I made the choice to have coffee and not eat breakfast when I got up, which I know for my mental health routine, my mornings are like super, super important. I've heard other people talk about that too, that morning routines are like the way we can set ourselves up for better days. And I do see that that's true with me. So today I did not set myself up in a great way. I mean, I did a little bit. A lot of what is happening for me is like looped up in interpersonal trauma and codependency and just like unlearning a lot of toxic bullshit that many of us are fed growing up from our families, from society, from the culture. So I've had some things that have been happening today that have been like touching some of those aspects for me or touching some of those ouchy spots. And so when it's situations like that, when it's like something specific that's coming up for me, I will sometimes when I have energy, depending on what's going on, I'll try to like lean into that a little bit or just like use that as an opportunity to explore what needs to be healed, which can look like journaling or sitting with it. I haven't felt like I've had that kind of energy. So I've been turning to like online support, just watching videos that are related to attachment wounding and healing behavior patterns. So all that was good. But my ideal morning routines are getting up and getting out of bed, meditating, washing my face and brushing my teeth. And that just helps me feel like the start of a fresh day, and making myself a warm beverage and having some breakfast very early on. I've found is important to me too. Otherwise, sometimes I can go like through lunchtime and realize like, oh, I've not eaten, and then I don't feel well physically. So I set myself up for that one a little bit today. Like I got to this stuff, it just wasn't until, I mean, it's like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something, and I'm having some breakfast, nutritious food. So I'm just delayed is all. So I don't know, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm gonna hang out outside for a while. That should help. I'm gonna do some stretching, try to just be patient and make the choices that I can make and not beat myself up for not making perfect choices. Today's been a pretty slow day. I'm pretty low energy today. I did not sleep well last night, but I'm continuing to feel like a little bit more distance from depression, just in like some of those like feelings of being so trapped in it. And I've been continuing to kind of dig into some of the triggering factors that I think kicked off that downward spiral for me. I've been watching some videos by the Crappy Childhood Fairy, who talks about just childhood experiences and how those show up in adulthood and prevent us from having the life or relationships or relationship with ourselves that we want to have. I also sat in the sun for a while today, which actually I got like kind of burnt, and I was like in pain for a while from that. And then I've been journaling for the last little bit, just kind of trying to apply some of what the videos that I was watching had opened up for me in terms of awareness. So I think this is like a promising, I don't know, I'm like trying to recall past experiences of moving myself out of a depressive cycle, because it's definitely an experience I've had for a lot of my life. But I think that is the pattern that I'm noticing, is that there's this period of feeling really kind of like stuck within it. Like I'm in the bottom of the ocean or something and I can't see what's up, what's down. I just know I'm like stuck in this space and it feels kind of like out of my control. There's not really anything I can do, is how it can feel in that moment, other than just to kind of like succumb to it. And so that's the hardest stage. And I think that's when meeting those basic needs are really important, like making sure that I'm giving my body what it needs to physically feel good, even if I'm not like mentally or emotionally feeling good, doing what I can to gently persuade myself to especially follow like the morning rituals that I know set myself up for having better days. Sitting with myself and sitting in nature, putting things in my body that are going to help me feel good. From trial and error, I know there are things that if I don't do them, I'm not going to feel great. And I know that doing them helps me start my day in like a clear, energized, focused place. And so even though when I'm in those depths of the ocean, I don't feel like I have the energy to really want to do a whole lot, really anything, if I can get myself to meet my basic needs, getting myself a little bit more stabilized in the ocean. For me, what is important and what was important this time is like being really careful, being really gentle with that and not being so strict, because I feel like that can sometimes keep me trapped when I'm not like perfect. Then I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to give up and screw this, forget it. And that's not helpful. It's not about pushing myself to be somewhere I'm not. I think it's more about supporting myself to get to a place of stabilization where I'm starting to feel like now I have the energy to whatever, like up my self-care or incorporate something else or continue making these choices to move myself in a better direction. And I feel like trying to figure out or process anything in those phases, first of all, I didn't even like have the energy or drive to want to do that. But I think also because those phases really involve like, yeah, being in the bottom of the ocean, it's like, how can I figure it out when I can't even see what's up and what's down? It's just not a good time to try and process through and make sense of whatever, because I feel like that's really the stages that come after, which is kind of where I feel like I'm moving now, where I don't feel great, but I don't feel like I'm in the bottom of the ocean anymore. I feel like I'm just kind of like rocking on the waves. And so I'm still being pushed and pulled around a little bit. I'm still like feeling a little whatever, like sensitive. Like I can see those feelings that came up for me. They're not gone by any means. And so I'm still like being affected and influenced them by a little bit, just like rocking on the ocean. But I'm no longer like topsy-turvy, stuck so deep down within it. And this to me has felt like a much better time to dive into some of those questions of like, okay, what happened for me? What came up? Why am I struggling? What's going on? How can I get some clarity? And sometimes I have the energy to do that for myself, but even now when I'm kind of being like rocked by those emotional waves even just a little bit, it can be hard to get that clarity for myself. And so that's when it's been really helpful for me to do things like turn to YouTube as a resource and look at what can I find that speaks to this experience that will help me figure out what to do, that will help me figure out what my experience is, that will help me continue to like make sense and clarify, like I'm rocking on these waves, but like how can I continue to make sense of my environment and like where am I at and like how do I maneuver myself to where I want to be instead of just getting like turned around. So today's been helpful in unpacking just some of the intricacies of what is going on for me, what's coming up, what is my experience. And I think that's what continues to then like pave the pathway out of this particular mini depressive episode for me. Also, after chatting with a friend, I decided to start another round of microdosing. So I did a little microdose today, which is one of the perks in living in a state right now where there are ways to legally access plant medicine. That's been something that has been really helpful in healing along my journey. It's another way of connecting to nature. It's another way of being able to like zoom out beyond our tiny little fishbowl of reality and look at bigger pictures. There are so many studies about the benefits of microdosing. So I'm going with a method for that is widely recommended. I take a mixture of the microdose lion's mane and niacin every few days over the next few weeks. This is the first time I'm doing it with niacin, so I'm not sure what to expect with that, but it's been 2 hours, I think, since I took the microdose, and I'm feeling calm and clear. And so that's, one of the benefits is it can help continue to move us into a place of cognitive coherence so we can see what's going on a little bit more clearly, so we have a better and better and better vantage point of that ocean. My hope and intention with filming some of these experiences is just to offer some reassurance and clarity to people out there who might be finding themselves in similar situations, because I think we need more voices and more people talking about it, because we have similar experiences, but we all experience things a little bit differently depending on our identities, depending on our personality, our intricities, all those pieces that make up who we are. And so if you're finding yourself in a dark spot right now and any of this is resonating for you, I just want to encourage you. Depression can again have us thinking that the place where we're at is permanent. It's not, and there's cycles and there are waves, and I don't think we always have to look at depression as this big bad scary monster either that needs to be medicated away, because sometimes I think there's lessons. For me in this depressive episode, it was for a reason and there was a lesson. So maybe some of what I've shared and what I've experienced can be a pathway to better understanding of your own experience, or a lens to try looking at it through and see if it fits for you, see if it helps you keep moving out of where you're moving or keeps you headed in a good direction. All right, I'm gonna go make myself some nutritious food to continue to feed my body, make sure I'm getting myself to a more and more stable place. I'll be back in another week or two with more videos along this theme. How do we heal ourselves? How do we heal the world on this journey towards self-sovereignty? I am finding it is largely an inside job. So keep tuning in if these are conversations you appreciate having, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.